Welcome back, focus learners, to another explainer. Look, today we're tearing down a myth that honestly affects literally every interaction you have. It's this idea of the architecture of influence. You know the trap, right? We walk into a room and just assume the most influential person is the loudest one, the extrovert, the one with all that effortless natural charisma. Well, the source material we're digging into today absolutely shatters that. True influence? It's not a performance. It's actually about internal clarity and structural precision. It's about building a message so incredibly solid that people literally can't help but follow your lead.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. First, we're going to master inner clarity. Then, we build a structured message. From there, we learn to speak with calm authority, figure out exactly how to read rooms and drive action, and finally, we'll map out the path to true mastery. Laying out a clear roadmap like this right away cuts the confusion and, honestly, establishes our own calm authority right out of the gate.
All right, Section 1. Master your inner clarity, because communication actually starts in the silence before your very first word.
It starts deep inside a calm nervous system, long before sound ever reaches the air. Think about your brain as a mental desk. If that desk is totally cluttered with scattered thoughts and emotional noise, well, panic sets in, doesn't it? You start rushing to answer because, let's face it, we are all terrified of that awkward silence. We have all been there, frantically filling dead air with whatever pops into our head while trying to organize our thoughts at the exact same time. The result? You talk way too fast, you over-explain, and you completely lose the room. But if you clear that desk, you can literally slow down. You let your ideas settle, kind of like stirred water finally coming to a rest. Slowing down doesn't mean you're thinking less. It means you're filtering the pure signal from all that noise, making your delivery incredibly purposeful.
So how do we get to that clean, mental desk? You need a filter. These 3 grounding questions are a super practical checklist to run through before you even open your mouth. Ask yourself, what do I truly want to communicate? What's the absolute simplest, clearest version of this idea? And, this one is huge, am I speaking from clarity or am I speaking from emotion? These questions literally force you to separate your internal feelings from your intended meaning. You might feel totally frustrated or pressured, but with this checklist, you ensure you're still speaking with absolute, undeniable precision.
And that leads us right to the ultimate test, single-sentence mastery. This is your ability to name your core idea with total simplicity and precision. Literally just one clean sentence. If you cannot hit this single-sentence test, guess what? Your mind simply hasn't finished thinking yet. Seriously, if you start talking before passing this test, you are heavily risking losing the room to a foggy, rambling mess of a message. The clearest thinkers do not hide behind complexity. They strike right at the absolute heart of the idea.
Moving on to Section 2. Build a structured message, because true leadership relies on a strong, predictable spine rather than just wandering, scattered thoughts.
Now that you've got that inner clarity, you need the outer architecture. The building blocks here, your words. Just look at the difference between saying, I think maybe we should consider, versus, here's the direction we take. It's night and day, right? Think of your words like a carpenter's saw. Strong, decisive words are like a perfectly sharp blade. They cut cleanly and instantly right to the point. But weak filler words, the maybes and the sort ofs, they're like a totally dull blade. They force you to work twice as hard, they make a messy cut, and they absolutely dilute your credibility.
To assemble those sharp words into something solid, you use the message blueprint. It's 4 steps, and this brilliantly illustrates how a structured message acts as a roadmap, guiding listeners straight out of confusion. Step 1, the point. Give them a clear anchor right off the bat. Step 2, support. Provide just enough context and examples to give it weight, but don't drown them in details. Step 3, the pause. This is non-negotiable. You have to pause to lock the idea into their minds. And finally, step 4, direction. Tell them exactly what the immediate next action is.
Which brings us to Section 3, speak with calm authority. Because shifting to the physical execution of your delivery, a stable, centered voice naturally absorbs tension in any chaotic environment.
So, you've got the clear mind. You've got the structured message. Now for the execution. Let me ask you this. Why do so many truly great ideas completely fail to gain traction?
Okay, did you feel the magnetic tension of that silence? I paused right there on purpose to make you lean in. We fail because we panic. We think authority comes from speaking faster or getting louder or ramping up the intensity. But the reality? Intensity without clarity just creates pressure, not confidence. Speeding up and over-explaining only amplifies everyone's anxiety. Instead, you've got to breathe deeply. Breathing anchors your tone, drops it into a confident register, and signals to the entire room that you have absolute self-control.
This completely reframes how we view silence.
Silence is not some empty void that exposes your unpreparedness. It is an incredibly active force. It's a framing tool. It is literally the amplifier of your communication. The person who controls the pauses completely shifts the power dynamic of the room. It protects you from reacting impulsively. When you show that you don't fear silence, people instinctively sense your strength. Let's pivot to section 4, read rooms and drive action. This is the outward phase where we actually connect with the audience, keeping in mind the harsh reality that people just nodding along is definitely not the same as taking action.
To actually drive action, a master communicator essentially surfs the emotional climate of a room. They adapt in real time instead of just blindly following a script. Check this out. If the room is restless, you don't talk louder to talk over them. You tighten your message, get straight to the point. If the room is quiet, slow down, let your words breathe. If it's highly emotional, you soften your tone to meet them where they are. And if it's energized, you ride that wave and amplify your conviction. You flow with the energy rather than fighting it.
And you know what? Sometimes flowing with reality means saying 3 incredibly simple words. I don't know. Now, I know that sounds totally counterintuitive when we're talking about projecting authority, but saying I don't know actually builds massive trust. It proves your precision and it proves your honesty. It tells the room that you are grounded in actual reality, not just putting on a performance for them. And honestly, it guarantees that when you do speak with certainty, they can take it to the absolute bank.
Because here is the absolute bottom line. Clarity without action is just noise. An average communicator explains things, sure, but a true influencer activates people. You have to demand action, ensuring your message always closes with a definitive direction. So how do you get people to actually move? You shrink the next step so it feels completely possible. Remove all the friction. Don't ask for some massive, scary leap. Guide them gently but firmly to the immediate next action.
Finally, section 5, the path to true mastery. Let's talk about turning these foundational techniques into an automatic, reliable identity through relentless repetition.
Because knowing these concepts is one thing, right? But living them takes practice. And the secret ingredient is a number. 1. Just 1 minute a day. Devoting a single minute daily to practicing your inner clarity, or tightening your message structure, or grounding your tone. It builds a profound internal certainty. True mastery isn't about flashy advanced hacks. It's literally about returning to these basics again and again until they become completely effortless. That internal certainty is what makes your external influence completely inevitable.
When you change the way you speak, you change the way you live. I absolutely love that quote. Your voice isn't just a sound. It is a reflection of your identity and your intentions. Developing this calm, clear, structured voice gives you a responsibility to lead. When you speak with clarity, you're literally giving others safety and direction. So I'm going to leave you with this. Now that you hold the blueprint for influence, what kind of world will your very next sentence build? Keep focusing, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.